Cinderella. Once upon a time, in a far-off land, there was a beautiful girl who wasn't very happy. She lived with her stepmother and two ugly stepsisters. Cinderella's stepmother and sisters were very cold and cruel to her. She was made to work as a servant in her own house. She cooked, washed the dishes, scrubbed the floor, while her stepmother and sisters rested upon comfy beds and had fun. Cinderella bore all calmly and quietly. She was forced to sleep beside the dusty fireplace, among cinders and ashes. Since she always looked dusty and dirty, the stepsisters named her Cinderella. Nevertheless, although Cinderella was always dressed in rags, she looked more beautiful and prettier than her stepsisters, who were always dressed very lavishly. One day, it so happened that the king's son had decided to throw a ball. All the young ladies of the kingdom were sent invitations for the same. The stepmother and stepsisters were thrilled at this invitation. They would now spend hours each day discussing about what they should wear at the ball. On the big day, Cinderella offered to help her sisters get ready. She ironed their clothes and made up their hair. She secretly nursed a desire to go to the ball. In fact, she begged her stepmother to take her along, but her request was turned down.
Have the beds clean and ready for your sisters when they come home weary and sleepy from the ball, said the stepmother sternly. Cinderella was very sad and burst into tears. Soon a carriage came and left with the stepsisters and their mother. As she wept, a fairy godmother appeared. "Why are you sobbing?" she asked. I wish to go to the ball," cried Cinderella with a great sigh. The fairy godmother smiled and said, "Cinderella, don't worry. Run into the garden and get me the biggest pumpkin." Cinderella spotted the biggest pumpkin and took it to the fairy godmother. She touched it with her magic wand, and the pumpkin became a golden coach. Next, she sent Cinderella in the cellar to find 7 mice. Cindy kept doing as she was asked to. The fairy tapped them each with her wand, changing them into 6 fine horses and a coachman. "This is amazing!"
exclaimed Cinderella.
"But what about my dress?"
With the next flick of her magic wand, the fairy instantly turned Cinderella's old rags into a beautiful gown, sparkling with jewels. To cap it off, she waved her magic wand over Cinderella's feet, and she had the daintiest slippers in the whole realm. Cinderella could not believe her eyes. The fairy godmother then warned her, "My dear girl, leave the ball before the clock strikes 12, for at midnight the spell will end." Overjoyed, Cinderella sat on the coach and left for the ball. When Cinderella entered the ballroom, the prince was stunned by her beauty. He fell in love with her at first sight and asked her to dance. The stepsisters were very jealous of the new girl. The prince and Cinderella danced all night long. She too had fallen quite in love with him. She was enjoying herself at the ball when, all of a sudden, the clock struck 12. Terrified that the spell would end, she said, "Prince, I have to go," and dashed towards the door and ran down the stairs. "Wait!" the prince called as he chased her. But Cinderella couldn't wait. As she ran, she stumbled and left one of her slippers on the stairs. The prince chased her, but could only manage to get hold of her slipper. He was madly in love with Cinderella and wanted to find out who that beautiful girl was. He called on his minister and said, "Go and search for the girl whose foot will fit into this slipper." The minister searched throughout the kingdom, from house to house, but could not find a girl whose foot would fit into the slipper. Finally, the minister reached Cinderella's house. The stepdaughters tried to squeeze their foot into the slipper, but in vain. The minister then tried the slipper on Cinderella's foot. Surprise! The slipper fitted her perfectly. The stepmother and stepsisters were astonished. The fairy godmother appeared once more and changed Cinderella's rags into a beautiful dress. Beautiful Cinderella was taken in the carriage to the palace. A few days later, she married the prince with pomp and gaiety. They lived happily ever after.